hear ye, you are watching community television, which means you are either old, poor, or in a bar right now. Maybe all of the above. Whoever the hell you are, we have a great show for you tonight. Let me first introduce our judges. First, we've got Cassy Jensen, member of local sketch group Grab the Ghost. Go check them out. And we've... Oh yeah, clapping, that's good. Keep that up. We've also got Penelope Flowers, local crazy person we found dumpster diving behind a sex shop.
Happy to be here, Brianna.
Happy to be anywhere, frankly.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Picked her up like a stray dog. All right, let's jump into our show. First, we've got local improviser Robyn Helwig. Anything you'd like to say to the dozens of people watching?
Nope.
Fair enough. And her opponent for the evening, we've got Sarai. Anything you'd like to say before we get started?
Also no.
Okay.
Competitors mean business. They're ready to start it off.
Don't we all? Okay. Gonna give you guys a topic. Your topic is geese. Are they as evil as people say?
Absolutely.
All right, would you like to start us off?
All right. For my minute, I'm going to start that geese are terrible and evil. They are aggressive to begin with, the very commonly known aggressive goose. You walk by and they will run after you. They damage crops and property. They are carriers of disease and just overall destructive, messy, no soul. That's geese.
Okay, Robyn, you have the floor.
Geese. You know 'em. You're a little afraid of 'em. As you should be. But not for the reasons Sarai wants you to believe. Sarai's out here spreading propaganda against geese. Right now we're in our era of the silly goose. Geese are so funny. It's like, it's so silly. So silly. But just you wait. Because soon, the era of the serious goose shall begin. Brought by our prophet, Ryan Gosling. Born of geese, raised by people. Hollywood celebrity, but most importantly, he's the bringer of the new era. All of us shall perish, and we'll enjoy it when it happens. All praise the geese.
All praise the geese. All right. Now we've just got time to hash it out. Anyone can interrupt now, even these fuckers.
Okay, I have a few questions off the top of the bat. First of all, Sarai, I just really like the quote, destructive, messy, no soul. That's geese. That's just a good little motto, maybe your campaign.
I would like to point out that that's what geese say about us.
And I would like to point out that description would also fit a toddler.
That's actually how I describe myself to myself. Second, I was really into the era of silly goose, but this prophecy of the era of serious goose coming into play has me a little concerned. Did you say Ryan Gosling is going to, quote, make all will perish is what I have written down?
Well, let me specify, all the unworthy will perish.
Okay, well then what defines worthiness?
Is that for me to decide,
If
or
it's for the
geese?
geese, if it's for the geese to decide, none of us are worthy. We will all perish.
Okay.
So be it.
Why do you think the geese do not deem us worthy?
They just have something about them in their soulless eyes. You just look into those black, dark voids, and you know that they just have murder on their mind.
Do you feel like you're generalizing?
I was about to say that. That's such a good point, Cassy.
I've met a few geese.
A few?
Okay, so, we
Okay,
got
so
some
have you ever been to a
anecdotal
park?
evidence.
Do you find it so evil that geese seek to protect their young?
I've been around the ones that attack when there's no young. They're just living life and they don't want you in the way, which is fair. I don't want me in the way either.
So are you personally saying that you have been victimized by a
I have been
goose?
victimized by a goose, yes.
That sounds like bias to me.
Okay, sure.
Okay, well, I don't want to get... if you feel comfortable, describe to us the incident in which you were victimized by a goose.
So my
Jesus Christ.
Mom and
Penelope, give a
stepdad.
Trigger warning first.
they had chickens and a couple of geese. The chickens were okay, you feed them, they're fine, but then the geese, when you would go to feed them, you'd have to like run in and feed them as fast as you could and then try to get away.
What would happen if you did not feed them?
I'm sorry, can I interrupt?
Yes.
You enslaved these geese
They were,
and were
is a
angry
great
when they
point.
rebelled? Defend that, Sarai.
they were free range.
They were, but
Define free range.
But
where did the geese live, Sarai?
So it was an open pen. They didn't have to stay there.
But
They
there was a
chose to
pen.
stay there. But they chose to stay.
jail
It was
cell.
an open door.
and
open
how
door
many eggs
policy.
of theirs did you steal?
Oh, none of them. We didn't care for the eggs. Just the chicken eggs.
That does...
Oh, and how do you think that made them feel?
So
You're
what?
like, look at all these chickens, these beautiful plump birds.
Okay, Robyn, first accusing her of slavery and then being like, you're not doing the slavery good enough.
I will say, if you were not harvesting eggs from the geese, what were you doing with the geese?
That's a good question.
My parents just like to say that they had them, I guess.
They just like to say that they had them.
So geese are a prop to you? They're an ornament?
Well, you've said that they're evil. Would you like to elaborate on why geese are evil?
Yes, so they spread avian disease, or they can. There can be a carrier of many diseases. They can also.
So can I, but am I evil?
I think
Don't
we're
answer
all
that.
a little evil. I
Say
also.
geese are more likely to be infected by human diseases than humans are to be infected by a bird disease.
Is that true?
That is true across the board for almost all animals.
And then there's also they destroy things. They're very messy and leave their droppings everywhere, which is
Look around the world,
expected.
Sarai. What are people doing? Do we deserve what we have? What have we been doing with it?
I think that
Give
now
the
is
geese
a
a
good
chance.
time to go back to
Give the
the
geese
all will
a chance.
perish part of this.
Again,
because
only
I'm
those
still
who
hung
deserve
up.
to.
Okay, let me rephrase my question. Will I be deemed worthy in the eyes of the geese?
How much have you traveled, Penelope?
A lot.
Do you know how much geese have traveled every year?
Probably more.
They migrate so much further than you could ever dream. And they remember the way back.
Is
Okay?
that
When you
answering
can
my
do that,
question?
you'll get to live. No GPS, just intrinsic self-knowledge and awareness of the pond in Hanscom
I
Park where
would
they
like
want to come
make
back
you
to have
aware
their next
that,
brood.
Convincing me that the geese are going to murder me is not endearing me to your side.
I would like to make it clear I was not asked whether or not you were going to die as the premise of this debate.
Well, okay.
Okay?
Would I be allowed a compass?
No.
A sextant?
Nope. Got to feel in your heart. Your little goose
Can I
heart.
look at the stars?
Nope. Well, I don't know.
Do they give you?
Probably not based on how there's all this light pollution and shit. They still managed to make it back.
When Ryan Gosling like takes over as like King Goose, like is he gonna give us at least like a 3 to 6 month like head start to
Like, get the
learn
hell
how
out
to
of here.
navigate?
Yeah. Do we get a grace period to be
Let's ask
grandfathered?
Sarai, how long did you give the geese before you entrapped them?
Okay.
Or did you hatch them out of an egg and put them in a pen?
They weren't hatched from an egg. They were stolen
Okay,
from the
I would like
mothers.
to just make it out.
Wait.
All
no, no,
geese came out of an
okay.
egg.
You're not off the hook. What was that?
I
So
just,
they're orphans.
they sure are. They
That's
became
traumatic.
orphans.
That's a traumatic thing to experience.
We're gonna have to put closed captions on Sarai in post.
Am I speaking too quietly? I'm sorry.
No. It looks like there's some personal vendettas getting into the meat of our very respectful, very highbrow debate. I would like us to go back to the facts, okay? State your cases in one sentence. Why are geese evil? Why are geese good?
You can't be subjective either, objective.
Yes. Give us some facts.
Goose facts.
Geese are migratory birds. They fly thousands of miles every year to a point in close to the equator, and then they fly back to wherever they are from, and they remember the way. And maybe that's truly what's been going wrong with the human era, is that we've lost our way. And maybe if we could just remember the pond we hatched at, and we could return to that pond to lay our own eggs, to form our own nest, and raise our goslings up and teach them how to migrate and return. Maybe that's really all we're missing. And those are all facts. Nothing in there was subjective or opinion.
That's powerful words, Robyn. A lot of semicolons in that sentence, but you know what? We'll take it. Sarai, do you have a sentence to sum up your case?
Like big homing pigeons with teeth.
Geese do not have teeth.
As far as you know.
No, that's a fact. Geese don't have teeth.
We'll talk to the geese I know.
Geese have to eat rocks and hold them in their crop, which is the part of a bird, like, it's like right down here. And it's like basically they eat gravel so that when they eat food, it goes to like grind up in the gravel. So if you see birds eating rocks, it's not because they're dumb. It's because
I've been feeding
that's
them
how
rocks,
that's how their bodies work.
Well, I read on
Innovative.
Facebook that they have teeth. Anyway, let's let Sarai talk.
Well, because of their protector qualities, as you've mentioned, they are on the more aggressive side. They tend to, which may be fairly overly aggressively towards humans, so that makes them in turn evil because they automatically assume that we are out to get them.
Wait, so in your own argument, you said it might be fair that they do that?
They are evil. I'm just saying they're evil. Why, how they got the evilness, that's not for me to decide, but they are in at the very end evil, and they make it very well known.
Sarai, can I ask you a question? It sounds like your argument is based on the idea that while geese are evil, so is man. Do I have that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So I guess in the full spectrum here, I think we actually agree fully.
Geese are evil.
And I don't know why we're brawling. This is your chance to Sarai to be chosen by Gosling himself and survive into the end times, if you want.
Oh, this was a note from a really long time ago, but you said propaganda, and I think you should have said propagander. Just saying.
No, because it was anti-goose. Propaganda obviously is pro-goose.
Point taken.
But her proper was an embarrassment to the
All right.
to the flock.
I've seen enough. Have you seen enough?
I think so. You know, we've talked a lot about stolen geese. We've talked about a lot of migratory geese. I want both of you to tell me how you would raise a goose and how your influence, would it matter? You know, like, is it nature
versus
or nurture with the geese?
How would you raise a goose to be good, and how would you raise a goose to be evil?
Well, let me tell you about the daily Snapchat videos I take of the geese growing up at Hanscom Park. Those geese are not aggressive. They are constantly surrounded by the people in my neighborhood who feed the geese, which you shouldn't do because gluten is not good for birds' digestive systems, but that's beside the point because the geese love the people And the geese will walk right up to people and are not afraid of people hitting or kicking. They are not aggressive. The grown-ups don't give a flying, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to cuss on this show.
Yes,
so
you are.
Okay, a flying fuck about their little babies like and like getting fed bread and things. So I can tell you exactly that it's all about nurture. And the reason that those birds keep coming back to that park is because all the people give them contraband bread. And they feel special and warm and fuzzy. And those are the geese that could grow up to run this country better than the people doing it right now. So it's...
I like to think on, you said that they remember like where they're going or they remember different things. I also like to think that how geese have been treated has been genetically committed to how they remember humans. And I think that even if they're raised in an environment where they have the ability to receive love from a human, they still will go back to eventually becoming evil and
maybe we should
feeling
start
hatred.
raising people in an environment where they deserve love from geese.
What would the geese's foreign policy positions be?
This is
Yeah.
This is important. Are they
Open borders, obviously. They want to be able to travel and they encourage traveling. So can you be illegal in a world where everything is your migratory path? I think that's a big part of it. Their foreign policy is there is no foreign anything because it's all one.
So no tariffs.
All tariffs.
Oh,
Sorry. I do need to put that out there. Geese do love tariffs.
Wait, so
They don't believe in money, but they love tariffs.
Wait, so geese are both open borders and protectionists?
I think that is exactly so true for geese.
Like pretty accurate.
That feels real.
Okay.
Would they unleash nuclear Armageddon?
They don't have thumbs to press any of those buttons.
But they have a beak.
You don't need thumbs to press a button.
Yeah, type in the codes.
Beak. It'll take
I will
a
also
while,
tell you,
but-
they are all illiterate, including Ryan Gosling.
Now that's actually true. I know that. I think I've heard enough. I have a verdict.
Okay, do you guys want to give closing statements, or do you just want to let Penelope yap?
I would like to hear the closing statements.
Okay, we can hear the closing statements.
I don't have one yet.
Sarai, you didn't actually go into your foreign policy or your like.
Yeah, maybe
your
you can
Goose
use your
administration.
closing
Can
statement
you- yeah,
to
just
talk about
talk on the
your
what you
goose
think
policy.
Goose.
Well, I guess I'll agree that they would have lots and lots of tariffs and that they would try to find any way that they could make life miserable. I also think that just due to their disregard for human life, that deep down, they're truly evil.
I think we need to start with the definition of the word evil. Evil is a subjective concept created by whoever is in power at the time, which right now, it's not the geese. But when it is, they're not going to be calling geese evil. They're going to be remembering, because they don't forget, they're going to be remembering how the way things used to be before Ryan Gosling led them into positions of power in politics and probably Hollywood too. I think there's a distinct lack of geese in Hollywood, but that's a separate debate. I lost my train of thought.
You know what? Well said, Robyn. History is written by the victors.
Yeah.
Let's bring it to our judges panel.
Okay. I gotta give it to Robyn. I think Robyn won.
Yeah.
You're just afraid of the geese-ageddon. Which is fair.
Okay, so here's where I think, with all the who's getting murdered and who got enslaved of it all, I think the argument comes down to geese are good or evil if people are good or evil. And I think people are evil, so I'm giving it to Sarai.
Oh no, we have a tie. All right, judges, you're
Okay.
both going to represent your chosen winner, and you're going to sword fight
Okay.
to the death.
Let's do it.
Can I have the axe?
How much can you guys move?
We'll sword fight from back.
From
the
back
seat.
here.
Yeah, you gotta do it back there.
This is good. Okay.
All right.
How do we win? How do we win?
I don't know. Whoever lands a hit. Okay.
For the hands. Go for the hands.
All right. Well, Penelope's dead, so Robyn wins.
What does this not prove? That man was evil all along.
Which, to be clear, we agreed on from the get. Thank you.
I'm dead.
Good game, everyone.
Good game.
GG.
All right. That was this episode of Fool's Brawl. We're gonna resurrect Penelope, and we'll be back next time. Tune in. Bye.